Alrighty, so I'm going to pretend like I know a bunch of things and begin speaking now. So enjoy what is to come. What an introduction that is, right? But in all seriousness, this is something that cannot be stressed enough. If you are someone who is on the path, if you are looking for the truth, understand that there are going to be hundreds of individuals and entities that claim to possess the truth. And they'll do it in such a way to where they exude an energy of superiority. They exude an energy of the one. The one who figured it all out, who has all of the answers. And even these entities will speak like a normal person would speak from time to time. They'll say the key phrases now and then. Something along the lines of, well, I'm just like you. Hey, I go through this also. But the subtext is always that they know more than you. That you will never be on the level that they are on. This, of course, is a toxic mentality, and it is promoted for that very reason. It sows discord. It creates cults, whether they are online or in reality, to the point where the brainwashed victims of the cult leader then become his or her defender. The knight in shining armor riding to the rescue of their quote-unquote teacher, to the point where they will lose sight of anything that they've learned along the way from these individuals. Because, of course, there will be true things presented along the way if it wouldn't work otherwise. This is how religions have worked for thousands of years at this point. There's got to be some truth in there or no one will believe any part of it. What am I trying to say here? Well, the point is that the truth is obvious. It is self-evident. And anyone who has caught even a glimpse of the reality of the situation that we are in here, if they are being fully transparent and honest with you, they will tell you that you have the ability to know everything that they know, and you too have the ability to be just like they are. This is a simple observation. Each and every one of us is a human being. Well, I assume most people listening to this are human beings. Perhaps there are other entities listening to this as well. But you're no different than we are in this respect. Each and every one of us has a similar design. The template is the same. We all have the same senses. We have the same organs. We are put together in exactly the same way. Therefore, we all have the exact same ability to connect with life, to become aware of the truth. Each and every one of us has that ability. So, by deduction, anyone that claims to have found the truth and is telling you from a place of superiority that you can only wish to be like them. And of course, they're not going to outright say this. It will be, again, in the subtext of what they are relaying to you. It's an energy that is permeating the words that they are speaking, which creates conflicting thought patterns in your mind as you listen to them, where a lot of the things that they are saying sound correct, but at the same time you're developing a disconnection from life by continuing to listen to these individuals. In many ways, the sound wave vibrations that they are putting into your being are poisoning you. And it is a slow poison. You don't realize it right away. Well, at least not when you're at certain levels of awareness. Eventually, you will get to the point where it will be instantaneous. You will be able to listen to someone and instantaneously know whether or not they are real. You know, as a side note, this reminds me of the research that has gone into the Great Pyramids at Giza as it relates to the pyramids being sound chambers. In other words, the idea that they were built to be acoustic resonators with the human body and the larger awareness that extends out from us or from our bodies into our immediate electromagnetic fields, interacting with that energy in a way that it would alter consciousness or provide certain experiences that would otherwise not be possible outside of that environment. So there has been research done into the archaeoacoustic characteristics of the Great Pyramid, and it begins to become pretty obvious that that is at least one part of what those were built or designed to do, which is have a person go into one of the king or queen chambers. I don't know enough about the structure of the pyramids to say which one it was off the top of my head. But in any event, you go into one of these chambers and you lay down in a certain way or you sit in a certain way depending on the size of the chamber, and sounds in the way that it was constructed vibrate in these chambers, and they produce an effect on the consciousness of the individual that is inside of the chamber. And who knows what this might produce within the mind of the individual experiencing it. But it's interesting, right, how there's kind of a corollary to that practice going on in our contemporary world with sensory deprivation chambers, where people float in a water/saline concoction in a enclosed apparatus that eventually produces hallucinogenic effects on the individual that's encased within it. There's all kinds of famous people who talk about going into these things and doing all kinds of drugs when they go in there as a way to alter consciousness. And maybe that was a part of the rituals that were going on in more ancient times. But I think the salient point here is that the awareness of the entities that constructed these megalithic structures was far more advanced than it is referred to in conventional wisdom as it relates to history. We are never told that these structures were built by an intelligence that was aware on a level that it could structure something so that it would alter human perception and awareness if it was exposed to certain frequencies within a chamber structured and built in a way to amplify those frequencies. That's some very advanced knowledge of physics and the body and the interrelationship between the two. But anyway, I bring all of this up about sound, and a potentially advanced awareness in the past in the context of a spiritual teacher or someone who claims to possess any sort of wisdom along those lines, for the hopefully obvious reason that the voice is a derivative of Soundwave technology. And so when you reach a certain level of awareness and you have the ability to use your intuition to filter out the intent that is embedded within Soundwave vibrations, in many ways you're using an ancient technology. Your voice, this ability to make vibrations, is like the eyes, an original form of technology. And the acquisition of information-led entities or an intelligence to information that allowed them to build things that would amplify that technology. Because this is what, as this theory goes, these structures were designed to do. Using the voice, the vibrations that come out of it in a chamber to alter human perception and awareness. That is an outward manifestation of an original technology innate within the human body. It seems like every advancement is some sort of expression of the technology, quote unquote, that is contained within the human body. That's where it originates, and then it is extended to different forms. And I mean, we're talking specifically here about the voice and those sound wave vibrations. Well, look at where that has been expanded to. I mean, look at music, what it has become. It has become a weapon. Those of you who know the source of what I'm about to say will know who I'm referring to, but there's a great explanation given about the evolution of song, where when you are connected to life, when you have that resonance flowing through your body and awareness, you just want to express. And if you are in a room with multiple people who are experiencing that same energy, a chorus in a song would be a way for everyone to simultaneously express what they were feeling without anyone having to be silent. And so you can see how the song itself would emerge from a group of people who were connected to life and creation and just expressing themselves to each other without any pretense and in full transparency and honesty and abundance. And as that energy permeated the environment that all of these people were in, it might be very difficult for some people to not be able to express in that moment. And so there would be the very first song that would come out of that. The very first song that was ever created was surely in an environment like this. And this is where the chorus came from. I mean, at first, obviously, it would be closer to, a lot of what you might hear in shamanic melodies, in the way that they sing Native American songs, the way that they use sound. It's not a song like we think of a song in our modern world, or like anything that you hear on the radio, right? It has no relationship to that, other than the fact that it's a derivative of that technology, in the sense that it's a tool of mind control that was developed and scientifically crafted to produce the most amount of manipulation in the shortest amount of time. And so, in many ways, When someone is speaking to you, it's kind of like hearing a song. It's kind of like music. When you listen to somebody's voice, think of it like you're hearing a song. And as you know from listening to music in general, there's just some music that resonates more than other music with you. And when we're talking metaphorically about the music of creation and how that connection would sound when it comes out of someone's mouth in the form of the vibration coming through, well, that should instantly resonate with you and give you the signals that, yes, this is a genuine voice, as opposed to the alternative, which would be, oh, whoa, there's some manipulation in here. I can sense that there's not quite full transparency taking place here. And it doesn't matter if you can pinpoint what it is right away. It's there. You can sense it. And sometimes, as with other things, you just explain it away. You say, oh, well, I kind of like what I'm hearing, so I'm just going to ignore that for now and just listen to this person as if they are genuine. And that's how, certain people can hang around longer than they theoretically should be able to hang around. And of course, as I've gone into before, there's many tricks that are used on YouTube specifically to create the illusion that someone is more popular than they really are. I mean, it's so very easy. You just create accounts that people use to, in the case of a quote-unquote teacher, build them up. Make it seem like there's a lot of people resonating with them. Make it seem like they're so wonderful. You'll just see these comments referring to these entities as if they are the greatest. Oh, you are the greatest. And as someone who has their own YouTube channel, this is just not the reality of the situation. Just the other day, I got a comment from somebody who was eviscerating me for some of the things that I do. And I was just cracking up because it was a hilarious comment in that respect. What they were calling me, the names and all that. It was amusing. I find these things very amusing because after all, it's the internet. It's not real life. And that's one piece of advice I would give to anyone listening to this. Always keep that in mind. The internet is not real life. Okay? I mean, just being realistic, I would imagine that some of the people that I've interacted with, who I think are real people right now, are probably not even real people. It's probably just some troll somewhere that's, trying to get something out of doing this to me. I don't know what, but it's no big deal to me. I mean, what am I going to do about it? Anyway, getting back to what I was talking about earlier, hopefully now you can see why I would say something like, well, anybody who has caught a glimpse of the truth is never going to come to you and say that they possess some secret special information or some secret special abilities that you do not possess. No, when you understand the truth of the situation that we're in and you view the body and everything that's going on in our awareness and perception as technology, in a sense, well, everyone has access to the same abilities then. And so no one would ever pretend, if they were real, they would never pretend like they have an ability that you are not capable of also having. Because we have the same technology built into each and every one of us. No one has any sort of special access to creation that you don't have. Now, being realistic about the situation, each and every one of us has had our own unique life experiences and our own unique path where we've encountered things that are special to our particular situation. And some people have it a lot worse than other people do. They experience a lot more trauma than other people do. So whatever the case may be, due to those reasons, sure, it could be more difficult for one person to clear all of that trauma and gain access to creation than it might be for another person who had a easier time of it. And so when they come across instructions that are attempting to show them how to reconnect to life, well, it might be faster for them. They might progress at a greater speed and acquire more abilities in a shorter amount of time than other people are capable. And then as a result of that, it might seem like they have some sort of special abilities. But that's really not the case. It's just that for whatever reason, their life played out in a way that made it much easier for them to understand and process the instructions to the point where they might develop an intuition in half the time that it takes other people. And that's an accelerating trend. It's like that snowball picking up steam and size as it goes down the proverbial mountain. It's a constant acceleration to the point where, sure, there might be individuals speaking out there who seem like they must have been chosen for some reason because it just seems like they know so much more than everyone else, but that's not it at all. And anybody who's honest will tell you that. Because when you have access to anybody like that, on a personal level, on a daily basis, you quickly see that they're just like everybody else. They have no special qualities to them in that way. They're a human being just like we are. And so let me put it like this. There is nothing that they possess that would enable them to get on YouTube and say, hey, I'm the one. I have all of the answers. Follow me. Worship me. No one who truly understands what is going on would ever do something like that. And it's funny, the permutations of it all. You'll even see examples of people who try to say that them being a jerk is actually part of them teaching you the truth. They twist it all up and get people all confused and say, oh, no. You have to understand that I know so much more than you, and this is my teaching style. I'm actually teaching you right now, and you don't even know it, even though it seems like I'm being the most horrible person in existence right now. No, I'm actually teaching you. Yeah. And maybe on some larger scale, they're actually, in their delusion, teaching the collective awareness some lesson. That's, of course, always a possibility, but I'm talking more about the delusion on the personal level of the whole thing. So I'm not sure if I have a point here, as usual, but I guess all of this is to say that it's very easy to lose sight of how powerful these sound wave vibrations are. Forget about the fact that this language is a construct and the words are a collection of sigils put together in certain ways that contain inherent meaning based on patterns over time. Forget about all that for a second and just accept the reality of the situation, which is, hey, we're in this situation now where this is the language that everyone speaks, and it enables us to communicate with each other. And so it serves its purpose for now until maybe someone develops a different language that would not contain the pitfalls of English or any of the other languages that anyone on the planet speaks. And I know it's easy to say, but I really want to reinforce the idea here that every single thing that comes out of your mouth is incredibly powerful and has a significant impact on the person that is receiving it. This is not something to take lightly. Pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth. Not just the words, but the energy that you are embedding onto them. I do this all the time. I catch myself and I sit there and I think, what's wrong with you? Why would you say that to that person? What was that about? I'm talking right now and you're thinking all of this just applies to what is spoken to those around you. Or what some person that puts themselves up on a mountaintop as if they are delivering commandments to those below them is saying. But no, this is so much deeper than that. It's your thoughts. People can intuit your thoughts as well. And that is having an impact on how they are feeling about themselves. You know, I'll share an embarrassing story to end here about this. I found myself having a moment where I was disconnected from life. I was picking tomatoes and it was so hot. It was so humid. It was suffocating. It was the middle of the afternoon and it was just terrible. It was terrible. And it was Friday and I was so close to the weekend and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm leaving. I can't do it anymore. And finally, we took a break and I went to get some water and I walked into the barn and someone was sitting there. And I thought in my head, I had the thought, oh, you gotta be kidding me. We're out here right now doing this and you're sitting here. Ridiculous. And I kid you not, this really happened. This person, after about 2 minutes, stands up and says, I promise, guys, I just sat down. I had been doing all of this work under the barn, getting stuff ready for the farmer's market. I had been doing all of this stuff, and I just sat down right when you guys came in to take your break. And I know you're probably furious coming in and seeing that. And she turned to me and said, Steve, I know you were cursing me in your head when you walked in and saw me, because I was the first one to walk in. And I sat there and I just said, you know, I can't even front and pretend like I wasn't a little agitated when I saw you sitting there, given what we were going through. And this person is someone that I would not classify as aware. They are nowhere close to that level yet. And yet, they could intuit my thoughts when I went in there. Now, you could get into all sorts of thought experiments about, well, maybe that was just something that this person thought of on their own. They intuited, oh, I'm sitting here and they're going to think that I'm being lazy and not helping them and they're going to be mad. And it didn't have anything to do with what I was thinking. And maybe that was it. Could be something like that. Or it could also be that she would never even have had that thought if it wasn't on my mind when I came in and saw her. And that's what produced that reaction in her, which then resulted in her actually saying something to me. And this just kind of reinforced everything that I was thinking of and what I decided to press record and start talking about. We are so very powerful and have a huge, massive influence on each other on levels that are so deep and so beyond our small conscious awareness that it's kind of awe-inspiring when you step back and look at the whole thing. We're communicating on so many different levels, and that's how we're taken advantage of. You know, going back to what I was discussing about the Soundwave vibrations and the first song and how that was eventually turned into the horrific music, quote unquote, that we're all exposed to now, and the tones that are put through the television and the computer and the whole thing. We have an incomprehensibly powerful impact on each other. And I guess that's all I wanted to say today. I guess that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Bye.